Hey everyone, welcome back. The hockey season is finally here. It's time for a Pocket with Joe over here on Sports Grid. Thank you for everyone who has waited all this off season and has been so excited for this show to get back. I am overwhelmed by all the questions around the last couple of weeks if the show would be back, what time it would be back. So you guys, we are officially back. If you're watching on X, YouTube, or IG, a big shout out to you guys. If you're watching on IG right here, harder for me to look at the screen. I am looking at everyone out there in the Twitter X world and the YouTube world. So you guys, we've got 3 games on the board today, and I can hardly wait for the season to kick off. One team I'm really high on, I wanted to let you guys know, the Ottawa Senators. We remember how the New Jersey Devils looked last season. I think the Ottawa Senators are a team we're going to see be able to make that push to make the playoffs. Brady Tkachuk, so phenomenally strong out there. When we look at what they've done with their goaltending, adding Korpisalo, I think this team is going to have a fantastic season. So looking at their points this season to go to that over, as well as them to make the playoffs. And Korpisalo over on his save shots on goal. Now, this is a scary one to take with a goalie. We have to make sure that goalie is healthy all season long for these numbers to come in. But we know him. Last season, he did finish the season off with the LA Kings. He started it with the St. Louis Blues, and he was able to save 1,206 shots on goal in that one. When we look at him there coming into this season, the Ottawa Senators, they do allow more shots on goal. And yes, we're going to see some adjustments with their defense. We're really going to see that defense step up. But even if he saves 50% and has a couple off nights, 55, 56% of those shots, I do think he will still go over the 1,200. Now, you can take it at 1,100. You're going to have to lay juice on 1,100 plus shots on goal. If you take it to 1,200 plus save shots on goal, then I do think you're in that plus money, and I think it's definitely something to look at. I'm so excited. I see all the comments coming in. You guys, appreciate each and every one of you for definitely being here. It is a time to make some money. Let's jump into these 3 games tonight. Now, one thing to remember when we look at the new season, whatever you saw in the preseason, throw it out of your mind. These teams are not what we saw in the preseason. One other thing to look at, though, offensively, these teams do have an advantage coming into the season over the defenses, over the goaltending. Yes, the goaltenders. We're going to see phenomenal goaltending out there, but it doesn't mean that these goaltenders are going to be ready. We saw what happened to teams with a couple of weeks off between the playoffs and everything. These goaltenders come in a little cold to start the season, so definitely an advantage over there for the offenses to be able to get those goals on the board. So when looking at tonight's games, it's really tempting to take all of these ones to the over because, again, we're going to see offensively these teams be able to make the connections. And there is one game that I am looking at taking it to the over, but let's kick off. First game on the board kicks off right away, so we got to get this one in. The Nashville Predators are taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, I just want to pull up current odds here to make sure we've seen no line movement in the last half an hour. We're seeing the Nashville Predators at plus 136, minus 164 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That total is 6.5. Now, if you like the Lightning, you'd have to take them on the puck line here. That's at plus 150. If you're not used to hockey betting, you guys, that puck line is the same as the run line. So in baseball. So puck line is minus 1.5 at plus 150. I don't love it, you guys, but I don't like the Nashville Predators on the puck line at plus 1.5. You're laying way too much juice at minus 182. What I would look at here in this one is I would take the Nashville Predators. I really do think the Predators have every opportunity of coming out and pulling off the upset in this one. Saros will be in goal for them. And Saros, he's an elite goaltender here for the Nashville Predators. Last season, he had a 2.69 goals against average. We know Vasilevsky is out of this game, and it really sucks for the Lightning here, as Vasilevsky will not be back in the lineup till at least American Thanksgiving, probably more into December, I'm looking at as. So they have Jonas Johansson here. That's a tongue twister, you guys, stepping into goal. Now, he did play a couple games for Colorado. It was only 3 games that he came out for the Colorado Avalanche. In those 3 games, he had a 2.10 ERA. That being said, the last time we saw him out with a different team, 2 games, he had a 7.1 ERA. Young goalie here. The Nashville Predators are going to come out hungry. Ryan O'Reilly was added to this team. We know he did a short stint with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I do have high hopes for the Nashville Predators. Now, they didn't make the playoffs last season. This is a Nashville Predators team that is going to be frustrated because they didn't make the playoffs. The last time they didn't make the playoffs was the 2005-2006 a season there. And there's lots of new changes for this team. We know Barry Trotz has been added as a GM. They've got a new coach in Andrew Brunette here. So I think there's solid movement in the right direction for the Nashville Predators. I think they can pull off the upset win here in Tampa against the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we know the Lightning were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by the Toronto Maple Leafs. So this is going to be an interesting one, you guys. It's the Predators on the money line for me in this game. Nashville's going to have a tough time scoring in general. You know what? I think the Nashville Predators, we're going to see a different style of play out of them here, Mike. This Nashville Predators team, we know, took their time in a lot of these games, but I do expect this team to play a better game out here. I expect the offense to be really clicking in this one. So I was flirting with taking their team total over in this one, but I do think looking at just them to get the win here at plus 136 is all the value. The next game on the board, let me just double check current lines here. I think a lot of people have this one circled. We know the Chicago Blackhawks added Connor Bedard. They got the overall first draft pick. Now, he's 18, you guys. He's such a young player out here, and he's taking on Hall of Famer veteran players here in the Pittsburgh Penguins. You got Sidney Crosby, and Connor Bedard is the first to say his idol out there. So I kind of look at this as a situation as how will Connor Bedard play when Sidney Crosby is on the opposite bench? This is going to be a game for him. First game, his NHL debut. While I do think he comes out nice and solid, the nerves and the hiccups will be there for Connor Bedard. And we look at this team, and it's Connor Bedard. I guess Taylor Hall, you could look at him as, Taylor Hall, you could look at him as well. He'll be solid on that line with Bedard. I do think Bedard gets those shots on goal. It's juiced. Everything to back Connor Bedard in this game is so highly juiced, you guys. It's really hard to take some props in this one. But let's look. The Chicago Blackhawks plus 205 if you think they can come out and get the straight up win. Minus 255 here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that total sitting at 6.5. The puck line here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, laying the 1.5 is minus 102. Plus 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks is plus 118. This is a revenge game. Now, anyone who watched hockey last season absolutely knows that the Pittsburgh Penguins thought they were going to make the playoffs. All they had to do was beat the Chicago Blackhawks in their last game. Our whole landscape of the playoffs would have been totally different. It didn't happen. Chicago Blackhawks beat them 5-2. And yes, it was the Pittsburgh Penguins' fault, but they've got to remember that. Now, that game was at home. They're coming back now in front of a home crowd again. Same storyline here. This team is going to be hungry. They want to start their season off completely on the right foot, and I do think that they can. The problem here is, from a betting perspective, you guys, is finding a value in the lines. We look at the Pittsburgh Penguins, like I said, huge, over $2 favorites, almost a $3 favorite. You can't even take them in regulation. I'm not laying minus 170 in regulation on any team. I looked at them in the first period, both of these teams to combine for over 1.5 goals. Again, 2 juice, minus 152. Over 3.5 goals for the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Again, 2 juice, minus 164. The only way I can take the Pittsburgh Penguins here is on that puck line. And we know that's a little scary, but I do think Pittsburgh comes out of the gate firing away. You've got to look, Peter Maratz is in goal for the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, this Chicago Blackhawks defense, basically non-existent last season. And when we look at who they added and the additional players this season, I am not seeing a huge up. There's no glow up for this team defensively. Yes, offensively, adding Connor Bedard and Tyler Hall here is fantastic, but I'm not seeing it for their defense. So I do think the Pittsburgh Penguins can win this, and they can cover the puck line of 1.5. The Penguins also added some great elements here. Erik Karlsson, you can look at him. Strong defensive player. that is able to still get those goals and accumulate points in games. You can look at Erik Karlsson for 2+ points in this game. That's coming in at plus 235. Extreme value. Everyone on IG, I want to remind you guys again, I am live on X and YouTube, so that's why I'm not looking directly at you guys. But yeah, Erik Karlsson here, you definitely have to look at, and then you have to look at Sidney Crosby. We got the veteran coming out, and remember, the Pittsburgh Penguins, this is probably their last huge run for the cup before they go into more of a rebuilding situation. This team is older. The majority of their players are 35 and over. So looking at these players to come out strong straight out of the gate, there's no injuries there. Sidney Crosby coming into this one, I'm going to take him for his 2+ points in this game. That comes in at plus 162. So much value in him to have a hot night. Like I said, Connor Bedard, you can't even look at his props in this one. There's just no value. 3+ shots on goal for Connor Bedard, which he should get, is close to $2. So I can't do it. But Tyler Hall here, he will be on the same line. Now, he was from the Boston Bruins. He didn't get a lot of playtime with the Boston Bruins only because of the talent in Boston. But I do see that playtime coming here with the Chicago Blackhawks. He will be on that top line, like I said, with Connor Bedard. You can take him 3+ shots on goal, and that's coming in at plus 128. So I think there's so much value there. And defensively, this team, like I said, is really going to allow those shots on goal. But at this point in the season, I wouldn't look at taking a goaltender's save shots on goal because, like I said, offensively, these teams really do own the games to start here. So in this one, the Predators, we're going to take them straight up on that puck line, not straight up for the win, but straight up on the puck line, laying the 1.5 at minus 102. Erik Karlsson for his points, 2+ points in this game at plus 235. Remember, he was with the San Jose Sharks. He was their bright shining spot last season, and he can come out, and this defenseman really plays a physical game and can get these points. And then for the Chicago Blackhawks, Tyler Hall here for his points. The last game, I know a lot of you are excited to see the Seattle Kraken and the Vegas Golden Knights in action. Now, if you guys were watching Monday Night Football last night, I wonder if you saw the Stanley Cup being raised in the suites. Jack Eichel was there, and a couple other of these players for the Vegas Golden Knights. So they were at Monday Night Football. They're now on the ice today. There is a banner raising a ceremony as well for this team for taking the cup last season. I think the Seattle Kraken come in hot straight out of the gate. Give me the Seattle Kraken, you guys, in the first period on the money line. We know them in the playoffs last season. We saw how strong they were able to come out straight out of the gate, being able to get those goals in the first period. And I think they do this on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, looking at the Vegas Golden Knights, we've seen some players move off of this team. We know that we had Riley Smith move off, a couple other players. This defense is really solid, but even White Cloud will not be playing because he's off with an injury. He had surgery, upper body surgery. Hockey's funny. They don't tell us exactly what has happened to these players, but he will not be in the lineup tonight. We know the Kraken lost in the playoffs to the Dallas Stars, getting eliminated, but this team, you guys, I have high hopes for this team. Now, I would look at their point total to the over as well this season. I do think the Kraken come out so very strong. Grubauer in goal, we know how he was last season, and he had a couple hiccups during the playoffs, not going to lie, with Grubauer, but he is a phenomenal goalie. I do think this is a game that should go over that total. Let me just look at current numbers, make sure there's no movement. That total is 6.5. To the over, though, we're getting plus 112. Now, the Seattle Kraken plus 138 here on the money line for the full game, minus 166 for the Vegas Golden Knights at puck line. Laying the 1.5 here at plus 146 with the Vegas Golden Knights and minus 178 with the Seattle Kraken. I can't go off the Seattle Kraken on the money line for the first period. That's at plus 124. Now, for the full game, I'm a little worried. I think Vegas comes out with a little bit of slower speed in that first period. There's a lot going on between players being at the Monday Night Football game last night to coming in just with so much confidence, and then players having moved off of this team. I think we just see that first period where the Seattle Kraken are the hungrier team coming straight out of the gate. So, and there's all the value on the Seattle Kraken. Adin Hill will be in goal for the Vegas Golden Knights tonight as well. We know how phenomenally strong he stood last season. He is a hard goalie to get past. So money line first period, Seattle. I'm also going to look at the over 6.5 at plus 112. I think there's so much value. I think this is a 4-3, a style game all day long. And then Jared McCann, we know how strong he was for the Seattle Kraken last season. I do think this forward comes out phenomenally strong. You can take him 3+ shots on goal in this game. That's coming in at minus 125. If you believe in him to get the goal, and I do believe in him to get the goal tonight, that's coming in at plus 200. Now you got to look at Jack Eichel and Mark Stone for those anytime goals, anytime you're looking at the Vegas Golden Knights. These are the shining stars of this team. Mark Stone coming in at plus 175 and Jack Eichel at plus 165. And I do think this is going to be a really good season for both of these players, especially Jack Eichel. I have so much faith in his abilities for this Vegas Golden Knights team. But you guys, those are the bets. 3 games. I will be on a Sports Rage tonight with Cam Stewart and Gabriel Morency. We're going to be talking early talks on tomorrow's slate, so make sure you join us over there. I'll be on at 11 o'clock Eastern, I believe. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate each and every one of you. All the best in all your bets, and make sure you head on over to Sports Grid, download the app on all of Google Play, Apple, wherever you download it. And you guys, I'll be back here tomorrow. Going to aim for the same time, 3:30 my time, so 5:30 Eastern. Let's make some freaking money tonight. Bye, guys.